Morning, everyone.
Morning, Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike Bellina. Hi. How many times I rewrote this thing? It's amazing. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about website design. I know you're surprised, right? Most designers worth their salt can nail a beautiful design. Design can be a work of art. However, works of art are to be looked at and admired, and I'm sure that's not why you redesign your website in the first place. Now, don't get me wrong, it's important to have a good-looking website design. However, the purpose needs to go deeper than superficial looks. Creating a compelling website is more than just picking out a template from many of the WordPress template sites that are out there, or looking at a competitor's site and repurposing it for your own good. It should be about the confluence of purposeful and meaningful content with design. So what does this mean? Well, in simple terms, it means it's like designing a car without knowing what size engine is going to be in it. Many website designs kind of go like this. You pick a design, you reuse the text that you have, or maybe you modify it a little bit, you add some new pictures, and you launch. Then you try to figure out why you're getting the same results. Well, in essence, nothing has really changed. You're pretty much putting lipstick on a pig. So there are some common mistakes that I've run into over the years that companies do when they redesign their site. And what I've been working on over the last few months is developing a system to really kind of study user interaction with websites and to avoid these common mistakes and make better, more intelligent decisions on website design. Well, the first mistake that many make is they create design with their company in mind. You think, well, that's kind of stupid. Why wouldn't you do that? Well, a better approach could be to design the site with your customer in mind, since they're going to be the ones who are going to be using the site. It's called user-centric design. And just because you like the way it looks doesn't necessarily mean that it won't be difficult for your visitor to navigate it. So, no, don't get me wrong. I mean, collaboration with owners and the people that are involved is important. But creating a user-centric design means you take into consideration your customers and visitors before your own company. And this could be the difference between a successful design and a pig. The second mistake many make is they base their design or their website design on something else that they saw. They say, oh, that would work great for me. Well, it could work. However, you're using someone else's solution assuming it will work for you. It's typically like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Now, the third mistake that many make is they don't take into account how their visitors are using their site. For example, I'm finding more and more that visitors don't scroll down the page. Or if they do scroll down, they scroll down about halfway, and that's about the end of it. And if I kind of left a statement at that, you say, well, that's a simple solution, just move everything to the top. Well, but that doesn't, but you don't know how your visitors are using your site. And how would you know? I mean, unless you actually saw how visitors were interacting with your site, you really wouldn't. But this could be kind of rolled into one big problem, which is many companies don't take the time to do any research on who their visitors are and how to use their site. Basically, they make a scientific wild-ass guess. And then in the end, waste time and money. So what I decided to do is kind of slow down the development process and take that time to research. To implement a process to study visitor interactions to get a better understanding of how your site is being used and make better, more intelligent design decisions. This process can be incorporated at any point, really. It doesn't have to just be at the redesign stage or the development stage. It could be at any point. So how does this process work? Well, technically we add a few lines of JavaScript and we just kind of let it rip. This process could take up to a month depending on your traffic. I mean, I like to use about 100 visitors to really kind of get an idea of how it works, how people are using it. 500 to 1,000 is even better. But because because too little will skew the results. So what are we looking for? We're looking for patterns. We want to see which buttons are people use versus other buttons. We want to see how far down visitors scroll on the page. We want to see if they're interacting with our call to actions. We want to see that if we could track how a visitor's mouse scrolls around the page, so you could see how they go from one point to another, to another, to another, and how they click through to another page. And all of these, you use all this data to make decisions on, well, maybe if they're not reading down, maybe the copy's not very interesting, or maybe perhaps if we move this to the top, we'll get more conversions. It's all that type of stuff that we take into consideration before we move forward. So how does this help you? Well, first it gives you a better understanding of how your site is being used. you can get raw numbers from Google Analytics, but Google Analytics doesn't track interactions. In understanding interactions basically gives you a better understanding of the failures and the points where things are going wrong. For example, why do you have 300 people come to your site every day, but few go beyond the home page? Things like, well, what happens if a visitor comes to my website, puts something in the cart? What happens to them after that? How do they go on to the next step? Do they go back to the site? Do they forget it's there? There's a lot of those things that you can start to reveal, and it could be decisions that you can make based on that type of information. If you're running an ad campaign and you're getting a bunch of traffic, but again, nobody's moving past the home page or the landing page, how would you know? So these are just, how would you know what they're doing? Are they not reading down? Are they missing the call to action? That sort of thing. And this works both on desktop and on the mobile. So, well, who can use this? Well, it will work on any site, but this is great for e-commerce, particularly websites that have landing pages with offers, retail businesses, convention websites, author websites. If you're selling a book online, hospitality industry is great, bed and breakfast, hotels, professionals that have one product to sell. These are just a few types of businesses that this will work for. And it can work for any website, really. Now, this is not really a business shift for me. I'm still going to do e-commerce and SEO. But what this does is this actually is a complement to that service. Giving clients a more in-depth analysis of their site, identifying pain points and break points, and figuring out why they're getting traffic but no conversions. So it's really kind of an analysis for anyone who is serious about the success of their site, and it's something that those people will be willing to consider. Any questions?
I'm good.
What is there a program? What's called? Are you developing this? Or
it's actually I do use third-party software for this, and what it does is it installs some JavaScript on there, and it gives a myriad of tasks, what we call heat maps, where it shows where people. What's that?
Oh, right. It's amazing. You actually.
Yeah, you can track how the mouse goes around the screen.
Now, do you use this to analyze even some of your current clients?
Yes,
now?
actually,
That's a great. I was just thinking how good that is for you now to go back and actually see.
Yeah, that's actually what I've been doing, and that's why I've been testing it on a few client sites. Not to their knowledge, but that's all right. It's not going to hurt anything.
But what? No, but let me. Wait, how much time is that?
Okay.
But what? No, let me ask you a question. Why would it matter to them if you were doing it?
Oh, it doesn't.
Because it would only help them.
Yeah.
To
You have no
really
idea,
see.
do you?
The way I look at it, as part of your
Like I said,
as part of the services that you provide to your clients, SEO, what have you, if you have that ability to track how their website is doing, as far as I'm concerned, it's incumbent upon you to do it.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's
So
what
I don't see why to me there's no downside, because then
No,
you can
absolutely
help-
not. Except that the idea behind it is, well, for clients that actually that I do SEO work for, this is part of
It's great.
It's part of the package, so to speak. It's just an additional feature that I've added to it, because it really does. You really can start to track. It is amazing what you see. Like I have a couple of sites that I'm working on that are just like basically some of these scenarios. They get a lot of traffic, but just going nowhere.
And I have one last question. When you were talking about like people, they go. I'm not in e-commerce, obviously, but I'm interested. If somebody goes into a shopping cart, what is the reason that most people then just leave a site? Is it not because they changed their mind about it? Is it because the whole checkout process is just too cumbersome and difficult, or they?
That's
You
how
don't
many I
know.
got? 60 seconds? Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
It's basically,
Okay.
long story short, there's various reasons. Some people use the shopping cart as basically a wish list. They just throw it in the shopping so they don't have to go back and find it later, and then they just decide to move on to something else. That's some of it is checkout. The checkout's too cumbersome. Sometimes they get distracted.
They hate the shipping cost, so they just
Whatever it is, it's there's various reasons for it. There's no real like magic bullet. Well, we solve this. But what you can do, just to kind of something that you could do, and this will do, is you could track a visitor come in. They can go to a product, they put it in their e-commerce into the into the shopping cart, and and then you can see what their next move is.
Wow, that's crazy. It's great.
Yeah.
Great. Very good. Very good. Thanks.